Okay, hello and a very warm welcome to all of our newly admitted Tritons for fall of 2024. On behalf of the International Services Engagement Office, otherwise known as ISEO, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever in the world you may be at this point in time. So many of you have arrived on campus. We've met some of you already, and others are making their way to UCSD, and so we look forward to seeing you when you join us. We're excited to welcome you no matter where you are on your journey. My name is Laura Page, she, her, hers pronoun, and I'm an international student advisor here at ISEO, and I'll be your host for today. I'm a UCSD alum myself, Revelle College to be more specific, and I have been with ISEO for about 10 years. A fun fact about me is I used to work in the semiconductor industry, so this is my second career. They're both very different, but I currently love what I'm doing. If you see me at a coffee hour or any of our other events, please come and introduce yourself. The fun part of my job is meeting you and all our new students. So I recently became an empty nester myself. So my youngest is literally sitting in an orientation right now at another university in California. And my house is very quiet. So I enjoy the energy and the buzz of UCSD as we start this fall quarter. Okay, so before we begin with the crux of our presentation here, a few housekeeping notes. You're in listen only mode, so while you can hear us, we cannot hear you. This session is being recorded and will be available at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu, and we do have a lot of other webinars there too, so please go ahead and check that out. If you have questions, please use the Q&A box. We'll address as many as we possibly can during the session, and you can also reach out later at icontact.ucsd.edu for further assistance, and our campus partners who have joined us also have their contact information listed. And then lastly, stick around because at the end of this presentation, please complete our survey. We do like to get your feedback, and there will be a gift card giveaway. Okay, so I'd like to thank you for having the courage to come to the US and start your journey with us. It can be both exhilarating and intimidating. Along with our campus partners, we are here to help you navigate our journey, your journey. And today we hope to start the process by demystifying various aspects of money while you are at the university. We're happy to welcome you to our session, Money, Money, Money. We have a lot of topics to cover. And so I'm going to briefly introduce our presenters, and then you'll get to see them individually as we move forward. So from the International Services and Engagement Office, we have Sai Krishna Bamidipati, and who is one of our wonderful graduate assistants and a student just like you. So he'll be sharing some of his experiences and knowledge. We have Shelley Toshkin, our International Student Advisor, also from ISEO. From University Credit Union, Monisha Donaldson has graciously joined us, and she will be talking about budgeting and financial literacy. And then we also have Eduardo Arguello, who also graciously joined us to speak about how to pay tuition and fees. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and begin, and I'm going to hand it over to Sai.
Thank you, Laura. So I'll be talking about how to set up a US bank account. Next slide, please.
Bit of a delay here.
Okay, so when considering financial institutions, banks and credit unions offer distinct advantages based on your needs. Banks typically provide a broader network of branches and ATMs, and that's coupled with convenient online and mobile apps that can make banking really accessible from anywhere. So while fees for cards and accounts may be higher, this comes with the benefit of widespread access and ease of use. On the other hand, credit unions, which are member-owned, often prioritize the needs of their members over profit. So although they may have fewer branches and ATMs, they tend to offer lower interest rates on loans And in many cases, there is no or minimal fees for financial services, which makes them an appealing choice for those looking to save on costs. Next slide, please. So in addition to considering convenience and fees, it's important to note that some financial institutions offer greater accessibility by not requiring a social security number or SSN to open an account. And this can be particularly valuable for us international students, non-residents, or individuals without a social security number. So institutions such as University Credit Union, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Citibank provide flexible account opening options, which allows more people to access essential banking services without the need for a social security number, which ensures inclusivity in financial management. Next slide, please. So now that we've briefly covered where you can open an account without a social security number, let's briefly talk about what you will need to get started. Whether you're making an appointment or dropping in, most banks and credit unions are flexible with walk-ins. However, during busy times like right now, like the beginning of school year, it's a good idea to call or check online to confirm if an appointment is required. Many banks and credit unions also set up additional kiosks on or near campus during the first few weeks of classes to accommodate the high volume of new students. So remember, not all institutions require a social security number, so it's always a good idea to ask ahead of time to avoid any delays. Next slide, please. So in addition to setting an appointment and dropping in, it's essential to come fully prepared with all the necessary documentation, which will ensure a smooth process and prevent any delays. For international students, be sure to bring your I-20 or DS 2019 form along with your passport and I-94. You will also need a second government-issued ID, which can be from the US or your home country, your residence address, and proof of your UCSD student status. Some banks may also request additional documentation, like proof of enrollment or a letter of employment. A crucial reminder, please make sure your name is spelled consistently across all documents to avoid any discrepancies. Next slide, please. So once you are ready to open an account, it's important to ask the right questions to ensure that your account meets your specific needs as a student. So don't hesitate to inquire about the student accounts that may offer benefits tailored to college students, like lower fee or easier terms. Make sure to ask about minimum opening deposit, any monthly balance requirements, and potential service or overdraft fees. If you plan to transfer money internationally, it's also wise to check on transfer times and the availability of e-transfer integrations with platforms like Flywire, Western Union, Wise, or Zelle. Lastly, if you think you'll need paper checks, don't forget to ask about their availability. So as you can see, there are several important factors to consider when opening a bank account or a credit union account. So by asking the right questions and being fully prepared with your documents, you'll be able to make the best choice for your financial needs. With that, I'll pause here and we'll continue with the next portion of the presentation. Thank you.
Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Shelley Toshkin, and I'm going to briefly talk about how to apply for a social security number or a tax identification number, or ITIN as we call it. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so once you receive a job offer, either on or off campus, you'll need to get a social security number to report your income to the IRS. Once you receive that job offer, you can go to iportal.ucsd.edu and upload your offer letter. And ISEO will issue you a support letter, which you can take to the Social Security Administration office to apply for the SSN. Next slide. So the documents you need to bring to the Social Security Administration office are a valid passport, your most recent I-94, which is your arrival and departure record, your Form I-20 or DS 2019, if you're a J student, with a wet signature. Electronic signatures are, actually, now that I think about it, the I-20, I think they are accepting electronic signatures. I might want to double check with Chanel or Laura. Can you verify if they're currently accepting electronic signatures or if it has to be a wet signature? Okay, maybe, I'm sorry. Okay, oh, so there is the link to the form, but I believe they are accepting electronic signatures now on the I-20. For the job offer letter, I believe you do have to have a wet signature on the job offer letter. And so then you'll also need to fill out the SSA form, application for a social security card, and then again, your job offer letter. And you'll go down to the Social Security office downtown on 1333 Front Street in the 110 Plaza in downtown San Diego. There's no appointment that is necessary, but I would be prepared to wait about 2 to 3 hours, you know, just to, because there's always a lot of people in line. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the ITIN number. So the ITIN is an individual taxpayer identification number that is used by the IRS. So ITINs are for federal tax reporting only and are not intended to serve any other purpose. If you are a grad student and you're receiving a fellowship or scholarship income from the university, then you will need to apply for an ITIN to report that income to the IRS for the 2024 tax year. Okay, next slide. You should receive an email from your department to create a Glacier account. So you'll just follow the instructions to fill out to create the account, and then you'll fill out the W-7 document. Typically you will, I've highlighted the sections that you will select when you're filling out the W-7. So you'll select F and H, and if your country does have a tax treaty with the US, then you will put exception to C and go ahead and put the country and the article number. If your country does not have a tax treaty with the US, then you'll just put exception B, which both of them are scholarship income. Okay, next slide. And once you've created the W-7, you'll go to our iPortal to apply for the support letter from our office. So the documents you'll need to upload are the W-7 form, the copy of the valid passport, copy of your valid visa, copy of your Form I-20, and the most recent I-94 record, and also your scholarship or fellowship letter from your department. So you will upload all those documents to iPortal, and we will go ahead and prepare a support letter for you. And what you'll also need to do is bring in the original W-7 form to our office and sign it so that we can send in the W-7 with a wet signature. And we'll go ahead and send that to the ITIN office in Austin for you. Okay, next. Okay, so we will review and print all the documents. And then once you sign it, we'll go ahead and send it to the office, and we will send you a tracking number by email. If you don't receive your ITIN, in the mail within 10 weeks, there is a phone number that you can call to check on the status. They can actually, give you the ITIN number over the phone if it's already been created. Unfortunately, you might have to wait a while on the phone. They don't, the tax office unfortunately always has long waits, but hopefully you will receive it within 10 weeks. And you can always contact our office if you have any questions. Okay, next slide. Okay, so paying taxes and resources that are available to international students. Next slide, please. So just to let you know that we are not tax experts here at the International Student Office. We do, there is an email, you can email with tax questions so that we can, maybe do some research, but we are not tax experts here in the office. Taxes, are paid in typically April of the year before. Let's see here. So based on income earned through, so when you pay the taxes in April, it'll be for January 1st through December 31st of 2024. And the tax returns typically need to be filed by April 15th for the previous calendar year, and you would need to report both federal and state taxes. The taxes are for every F or J student in the US for fewer than 5 years. There is no income tax. But you are required to fill out the form 8843, which basically just says you're an international student. And, it's just, kind of a, reporting form that you would fill out, but it's not the 1040 NR tax form. If you are receiving payments of any kind from UCSD, then you must create a Glacier record. And typically, you would get an email to set up, to log into the Glacier system. And then it basically just, takes you through the whole, it asks you a bunch of questions. And then it'll, basically help you, prepare the return to send into the ILS. The software that they use in Glacier is called Glacier Tax Prep. And for state filing, the system that's used is Sprint Tax. Next slide, please. So just some considerations for you. Abiding by US tax laws is a requirement for maintaining your non-immigrant status. Please do not use TurboTax or any other web-based applications to electronically file your tax returns. They are just strictly for US citizens and residents and have different rules. So you will, fill out your taxes through the Glacier Tax Prep system. And if you do have any questions, you can email International Tax Help at ucsd.edu. And we will also be sending codes out to all students that, are required to file. And UCSD does pay for that service for you. And everyone's tax situation is unique. So it's really, generally not helpful to compare, your situation with your friends. It may, seem like it's the same situation, but generally every situation is different. We do have a lot of tax resources on our website. Next slide, please. And as I said, if you have any questions about taxes, you can email International Tax Help at ucsd.edu. if you're employed or will be receiving scholarship or fellowship income, make sure to set up a Glacier record. And as I mentioned before, it's typically sent by your department. And then basic information for students is on our website. I believe Grace has put that in the chat for you. And then we will have tax workshops coming up in 2025. And check out our ievents.ucsd.edu for you know, the schedule of the tax workshops. Okay, next slide. And that's all I have for Social Security numbers and ITINs. Now I'd like to introduce Monisha from the University Credit Union on Budgeting 101 and Financial Literacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Hello, everyone. I am Monisha from University Credit Union. I'll be discussing a little bit of background about who we are and Budgeting 101. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit about budgeting, and just to get started, can go next slide. We are the official credit union partner on campus. We're located in the Price Center. That's like, you know, basically inside of the Price Center, where the food court mainly is. Next slide, please. So a little bit of background about who we are. So we were founded back in 1951 on the campus of UCLA. There were a group of employees that decided they wanted to form a credit union just to serve specifically the university community. So we serve staff, students, faculty, alumni, and your families. So we are here as a financial resource for you on campus. Next slide. So to talk a little bit about our topic, we're going to talk about budgeting. And basically budgeting is like your spending plan. So this is going to be your income, so your money in versus your money out. And if you see that picture there, and you're anything like me, I like to put things on paper because writing it just helps it stick for me. But there are a lot of resources that you can use in terms of budgeting. There are a lot of apps. You could use your notes. There are a lot of different ways that you could practice the art of budgeting, but it's something that you'll want to get familiar with and get really comfortable with doing. Next slide, please. And so a little bit about why we should budget. So in my opinion, this is a really good habit to have because you're going to use it throughout your entire lifetime as your finances change and come and go. This gives us really the awareness of where our money is coming from, how much we have to work with, and then how much we are spending and how much of it is going out. This really helps reduce the stress, and it gives us just the awareness, and it makes us feel like we are in control, which is, I think, good for our mental health. Next slide. And so there is a method that you could use in terms of budgeting, and this is called the 50-30-20 rule. And this recommends that we spend 50% of our income, and then 30% would go to our wants, and then 20% will go to savings or debts. So there is a little video there. Perhaps you could go later on and watch that little video, and it gives just an illustration of how to apply this method to your finances. So once you have that money coming in, you may delegate that 50% for, you know, what you need to spend on, 30% for your wants, the things that you know, I don't know, concert tickets, your leisure things, and then 20% on savings or debts. Next slide. And then some of the key points is that you really want to make sure that you're aware and you know what income and expenses that you have. You want to eliminate those budget busters. So sometimes we have a lot of small things. We've got our Netflix subscriptions and a lot of just different things that are, you know, taking our money that we don't even realize. And so just putting these things on paper really helps us eliminate some of those spending expenses. And then the tracking gives us awareness and it helps us to have more control. Next slide. So at University Credit Union, as I said, we're here to provide a resource to you. So one of the amazing things about us is we will offer financial consulting and coaching. So even if you don't have an account with us, you could always come over to Price Center, you can book an appointment and you can ask, how do I budget this, or what is the best way to make my money work for me? And we're here to provide that resource to you. So just about all of us are certified financial counselors. So we can sit with you and just kind of give you advice on, building your budget or learning how to develop credit and things of that nature, even as far as structuring your account so that you can get the highest return. Next slide. And so one of the amazing things about credit unions is we tend to offer higher rates and dividends on checking and savings account. If you see here, this is our savings account that's offering 4.5 APY, which is a really high return on a savings account. And then if you see there that really cool Triton debit card, we are all about school pride, so we offer those Triton cards as well. So this is just an example of how we're able to give back to our community with those high dividends and returns on your money on checking and savings. And then we tend to offer really low interest rates on loans. Next slide, please. And then this is my contact information and my colleague, Coley. So we are on campus, as I said, in the Price Center. If you need to get a hold of us, feel free to, take my email down, or you can visit our website. It's really easy to join. You can go on, click join. You do not have to have a social to join the credit union. Literally takes about 5 minutes to join. We give you the $5 to open your account. We make it really, really easy for you. No foreign transaction fees if you travel back home. Really, really great perks. No minimum balance, no fees. It's really a great account to have. And if you ever go back home, you could still keep your account. Next slide. And these are some other resources. One thing to also point out is that we do offer financial wellness workshops all over campus. So you may see, a budgeting workshop or a workshop about building credit, or, just a plethora of different topics. So if you do see those, broadcasts about those workshops, feel free to join and learn as much as you can. And next slide. And then again, this is just our resource of where we're located, and there are ATMs all over campus. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Hello, my name is Eduardo Arguello. I'm a student account advisor here at Student Financial Solutions, and for my slides, we're going to be reviewing a little bit of billing and navigating due dates and try to pay as well on your student account. Next slide. So here we have the billing due dates for the upcoming quarters, fall, winter, and spring. As you can see, the fall coming due date is September 20th. We have actually extended that due date to September 25th. So you don't have to make a payment on September 20th if you haven't done so yet. I believe the office of the registrar is able to send an email regarding this change. But yeah, so if you don't make a payment by 9/20, you won't receive any penalties, any holds, anything along those lines. The following due dates for the fall quarter, October 18th and November 18th, those are primarily pertaining to if you have any monthly housing, or if you have or are enrolled in the trip plan that we offer. Winter quarter due date is December 20th, and then spring quarter due date is March 21st. And you're billed quarterly for upcoming term and monthly for miscellaneous charges. So if you go to the bookstore and make a purchase, let's say on 9/20, that fee won't be due until the next month, which is October. Due dates do not land in the same day every month. So I would highly regularly check your try to pay account just to make sure when your fees are on what statement, because that will be due that month. And if you're enrolled late after the billing statement has generated, quarterly tuition fees are still due on the dates above. So if you enroll in classes for fall on the 17th and you hadn't enrolled before, those will still be due on the 20th. So those are the only ones that must be paid on the big bubble due dates. Next slide, please. So we have a couple different types of payment options. Online, you can make an e-check option payment. These are traditionally reserved for checkings and savings account that are residing with banks in the US. So if you use an international e-check account, this payment may bounce. So do we also have a credit card, a credit card payment option? This has a 2.75% service fee associated with it. Once again, usually reserved for American organizational credit cards. We do have international like payment options, depending on the different types of payment options offered for your country. So if you click the international payment option, you have to click the country that you would like to make that payment out of, and there you will have different options that you may select. And then we also have a few select 529 payment plans online. If you do see your 529 payment plan online, that means you're going to be able to make that payment for the 529 plan to try to pay. If not, you would have to send in a check. So in person, you can make a cash payment, a money order payment, a personal check, a cashier's check, or a traveler's check. And then you could also mail us a payment, either a money order or personal check, a cashier's check, a traveler's check, or a 529 payment plan check. If you don't see your 529 payment plan online, you will have to mail us your 529 payment via check. And all payments must be made in US currency. All checks should be made payable to UC Regents. All checks must include the student's PID in the name. And all mailed payments must be received by the due dates. If you're making an international payment or sending in a check payment, usually those checks can take 1 to 2 business weeks to be processed. So if the due date's on the 20th for any international payments, I would have recommended making that payment 2 weeks in advance, probably on September 4th. So in the future, if you see those upcoming due dates, I would always recommend for international payments or mail check payments to make those 2 weeks in advance to make sure that that payment is received and processed on the account by the due date. Like I said, even if we receive the check, even if you send the payment, we won't receive it that next day and process the payment on the account the next day. It usually takes 2 business weeks. Next slide, please. So for international payments, there are 3 different options available usually. That would be Convera, Flywire, and TransferMate. I know for some other countries they do offer like Alipay and UnionPay. And I know that in some occasions they do offer like transact like international payment, like bank transfer. Those are from very specific countries. And as highlighted there, payment platforms options may vary depending on the country you have selected. Please note that VPN may be necessary to make a payment while abroad. You can only make wire transfers to UC San Diego to try to pay. So we have a lot of parents asking us, hey, can I get the UCSD banking information? I want to send the money directly from my own international bank to the university. We do not accept this. If somehow you're able to find a wired account online without the authorization of Trident Pay or Student Financial Solutions, and you try to make that payment may be lost. That payment may be applied to the account in the future, but it can take some months. I'm talking about 3 to 6 months to a year. Like I said, that payment will be lost, and it may not be applied at all to the account, or it may take up to a year to be applied to the account. So do not make payments directly from your own personal account to the university. And then payments initiated in the Alipay app directly will not be accepted. If you're going to pay with Alipay, it must be to Trident Pay. Do not try to go on the Alipay app and make a payment directly from there. You have to do it to Trident Pay. Very important. Next slide, please. Third-party payment. These are for sponsored students who will require direct billing to an outside agency for tuition and mandatory fees. A lot of countries do pay for their students. Specifically, like an example would be like Saudi Arabia and Qatar. They pay for their own students in complete entirety. But for that process to be moving forward, you have to get in contact with the undergrad third party at UCSD. So that email you see on the bottom right, undergrad third party at UCSD, if your country, organization, or company is paying for your students' fees in entirety, you have to get in contact with our office. You can look up third party UCSD payments. There's a whole process. And a process that usually takes 1 to 2 business weeks to get through to physically apply third-party payments to the account. So very important that you get in contact with us or do the research there. If you're going to get paid by the Department of Veteran Affairs, that also its own independent steps that can take 1 to 2 business weeks there. So I would recommend to get that process started earlier than later. And if you're going to get paid by the Veteran Affairs, you can contact bao@ucsd.edu. Next slide, please. For TRIP, so TRIP is a Trident Trident registration installment plan. This will help you split your registration and tuition fees into 3 monthly installments. This only covers registration and tuition fees, including the student health insurance. It does not cover any housing, any miscellaneous charges like books, parking, or other types of charges. If you want to enroll in TRIP, you must enroll in TRIP each quarter. There's a $40 enrollment fee required up front to enroll, and this is charged for every quarter that you want to enroll. And housing offers their own separate housing payment plans. So if you want to have a monthly housing payment plan instead of a quarterly or yearly, you can definitely do so. And those can be managed by the via the housing portal. Yeah, next slide, please. When enrolling in TRIP, you're given the option to set up auto pay. So payment methods accepted for auto pay are e-check, credit card, and 5 to 9 payment. When making automatic 5 to 9 payments, you'll only be charged a $10 service fee once. And then if you want to take the full advantage of the 3-month installments for TRIP, you must enroll in TRIP prior to the first billing due date. So the first billing due date for this quarter is September 20th, let's say, or September 25th. Let's say you enroll on September 27th for TRIP. You can still do so. However, on September 27th, because the first billing due date has already passed, you will be required to make that payment. So you don't get 3 months from the time of enrollment. It's 3 months with the already determined due dates. So those due dates are already determined. It doesn't matter, or it's not dependent on enrollment date. It's more dependent on enrolling before the due date if you want to have that time to make that first payment, that second payment, and third payment. Next slide, please. If you need any help, we're always going to be here to help. You can visit our website, sfs.ucsd.edu. That will give you different resources that you'll be able to find, like how to make a payment or how to navigate Try to Pay, your Try to Pay account. You could also find our contact information. Right now, we're offering extended phone line hours from 4 to 6 p.m. for the next 2 weeks. I believe it ends next week. But if you want to call us, we're open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Right now, 6 p.m. And then Thursdays, we're open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the next week, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. After that. I would recommend to go to support.ucsd.edu/students. You can ask that system a question, and we may have an article that already answers that question and the steps on how to answer the issue or solve the issue that you may be facing. And then follow us on Instagram for any minor updates at UCSD SFS. We just posted an extension of the due date, and we usually post any updates there. But yep, next slide, please. Or that's it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much to all our presenters. A lot of very useful information. I think I may have learned a thing or two as well. And so now we're on to our Q&A portion of our presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. Let's see what we have. Right, so while we're waiting here to see if there are any additional questions, we can, maybe I'll go through and do some of our other slides where we talk about how you can get involved here at UCSD during your time. Okay, so basically we have a bunch of different programs that either we provide or campus partners provide, and I'm going to just go through a few of them. You may have seen these in some of the other presentations, but it's always kind of a good reinforcer. It's really important to become connected early to the campus. A lot of student success is based on that. So let me start with the meetups. Meetups are a great way to meet other international students at UC San Diego who share similar interests. And to register for these meetups, go ahead to ievents.ucsd.edu. And we have some more orientation events that are happening. I believe our bus tour is sold out right now, but we do have the Student Fan Fest, which is happening today with athletics, where you can enjoy free pizza, play fun games, win prizes in our raffle, and then mingle with international scholar athletes. And then on Wednesday, September 25th, we will have our international mixer. Okay, on September 26th, Thursday, we will have our GAP mixer for those who participated in the Global Ambassador Program. And if you want to know what's happening at UCSD as we move forward, our iEvents calendar is a live calendar that features globally engaged events hosted by student organizations on campus and other campus departments throughout the year. So head to ievents.ucsd.edu for the latest, and we do update that very frequently. And then I'm going to go, let's see, let me just see if there are any questions. Okay, it looks like there's no open questions. So I will stay on this slide and we will talk a little bit about the survey. So we get great feedback from our students who are participating in these sessions, and we do change the sessions according to some of your feedback. So please go ahead and fill this out. We do value that. You will be entered in a gift card giveaway for Amazon. And we appreciate any feedback you can provide today. So while you're filling that out, a few final reminders, very important. Once you arrive in the US and you begin your studies, please submit the check-in for I-20/DS 2019 activation form in our iPortal. That's how we know that you have arrived, and that's how we activate your SEVIS record. Please continue to register for other orientation sessions on iorientation.ucsd.edu. And then you can always contact us over the course of your time here at icontact.ucsd.edu, as well as our other campus partners who've participated today. We do like to hear your feedback, and we also welcome your questions. And I think that's it for our presentation. So thank you all for attending. I hope this was of helpful and of use for you. And we hope to see you at some of our other sessions over the next week. Take care and enjoy your first quarter at UCSD.